Hi, I'm Meg Tapp from the Garden Club of Houston, and this is a brief introduction on how to enter a flower show. The first step is even how to get your plant to the show. For a potted plant, you start saving your boxes just throughout the year, all different sizes. So this, for example, will get a little tiny plant like this. So just take your plant, and I fold the sides in, and that gives it a little more cushion because they move. So you put your plant in here, and it really does nestle against the sides, and you can use bubble wrap that you've saved throughout the year. It's kind of loud. Or you can use towel or paper towels or newspaper, and you just shove it in there however you want. It doesn't have to be pretty, but that is to keep it from moving when it's in the car. So you do that, and you can seatbelt it into the car, or you can shove more towels against it, and again seatbelt it, or put it on the floor. They do better on the floor than in the actual seat because the seat is not level. So there you go, that's for a potted plant. Cuts, you can take it in, these are 3 different ones, in a just any cup, and it goes in your cup holder. That works well. Or you can get one of those wine holders and put wine bottles and put them in there, or big cups fit in those wine holders also. But however you get your cuts, it doesn't have to be in the glass container that you're going to show it, because they'll give you that at the show. So the second step, once you've got your plant in the car and out of the car, you take it to bug inspection. So there will be a station, and they usually have a light that's kind of like the dermatologist light with a magnifying glass on it, and that's where, or they'll have this, and everyone looks at your plant to see if there are anyone who took a free ride in your car to the show, and if there is a bug on there, they will just point it out and they'll help you get it off. It's not, you are not sent home immediately. It is not shameful to have a bug. They just don't want a bug going into the venue. So they'll have cotton swabs with alcohol to help you get it off, or you can wipe it off with your hand. Anyway, that's it, and that's the same for potted plants and cut specimens. So that's the first step, is to get your bugs off. Okay, so the next step is, if you brought cut specimens, you'll go and pick your bottle, because remember, you brought your cut specimens in however you got them to the show. So this is where you get to have your artistic flair. So there'll be all kinds of bottles set out at the show, and the bottle people will be your friend. That is like when you go and take a friend to buy a dress, and they'll help you. So if you have this little tiny leaf that you want to enter, isn't she cute? So you would not want to put her in this big bottle, because, oh, wait, I'm laughing. She has a bug on her right this second. She didn't make it through bug inspection. So this looks silly. That does not look right. This bottle is way too big for this leaf. So that if you were starting to do that, the bottle people would be like, I'm not sure that's the best look. So that's like I'm saying, if you took a friend to help you buy a dress, they'd be like, not so sure it's flattering. So this is where you have your artistic flair. This little bottle looks way better with this cute little leaf. So you would take a piece of wrap that they'll have everything you need there. So you wad it up, and it is your job to have the best foot forward for your little leaf. So like if you did that, it's leaning too far forward. It doesn't look quite right. If you shove this down a little bit more, and this takes a little bit of time. So you just want to make her stand up and look pretty. She's probably standing up a little bit too much there. So you shove her down a little bit more. Let's see how she looks. I think she looks pretty good right there. So this is a great bottle for her. So she is finished. This one, probably don't even fit in the frame. So this is a really tall bottle. I haven't put water in here yet. There's also water at the show. They'll have these filled with water, and you can add more water. But just for this display, she didn't have water. Since this is such a tall specimen, she gets a tall bottle. So you would never put something so tall in this little tiny bottle. First of all, it would fall out. But like I said, this is just where you have your artistic display. And what you're trying to do is get her very best foot forward. So when the judges look at her, you want everything fresh and looking forward. So there'll be everything from this little size to this big size, and they'll have this small neck to really big necks for, I can't think what you'd have, but anyway, you'll have everything you need and people to help you on both sides. Okay, so we did the picking out your container or your bottle for your cut. So now we're at the grooming part of the containers. So the grooming happens with the cuts and the container ones. So you take your cut specimen or your container plant, and this is where you really, you get out your magnifying glass, which they'll have there, and you really look at your cut specimen or your container plant for anything that's wrong. So there's a misshapen leaf here. So I mean, all these leaves look great. So this one is misshapen, so I need to cut it out of here because that looks bad. And everything else looks pretty good because I've already kind of groomed this. But if anything looks bad, cut it off. And also, if it's almost perfect but it's got a weird little thing, you can cut it to make it look like it was, you can just make it smaller. So you don't have to cut the whole leaf if whatever's wrong with it is close to the edge, just as long as you make it the same shape to look like it's supposed to be the original shape. So this looks pretty good. The pot is looking a little, it could be a little cleaner. So you can use your Mr. Clean eraser and just, you get it wet and just clean it up. It's kind of hard when you have a pot that lives outside because it is going to look a little rugged. If it's really close to the show, I wouldn't repot your whole plant because that can be stressful on your plant. Indoor plants have a better chance of having a clean pot, obviously. So now we want to top dress it. I like to use a little tiny funnel. So I use worm castings in this one. What you want to do is you pick a top dressing. You want to hide your dirt. You never ever ever want to have any of the little white perlite that's in your soil showing. And in general, you just want to make it look really tidy. So you pick something to cover your soil surface. You can pick whatever you like. It could be gravel, it could be sand, it could be worm castings, it could be actually just another layer of soil that doesn't have little white specks in it. Whatever you think looks pretty, whatever just goes and whatever calls to you. So you can get things at the feed store, at the garden center. They have things that are soil covers. The only thing you wouldn't use would be like brightly colored marbles or something orange or something, you know, that doesn't go in nature. So, but I use a funnel. So make sure you cover the bottom or you will just funnel it on out. So I use a spoon to put, these are worm castings, put them in here. You can either put it straight in if that's what works for you, or you can funnel it in around. So go all the way around, and then once it's in, then you shake it to even it out. And so you go all the way around, and then you're done. Once you finish, get a, you don't have to have this, you can use a paintbrush or whatever works for you, makeup brush, and clean your leaves off because you probably got it on there, and your pot. And then you're done. And one helpful thing, so remember I did worm castings for this particular plant, is I like to bring an extra little tiny Tupperware of that exact one to the show, because you want to do as much of the top dressing at home, because they'll have top dressing at the show, but it won't be necessarily what you want, because this is, once again, you're making this pretty to you and how you want to show it that's special for you. So top dress as much as you can at home and not to the tippy top, because you do not want to, it's going to spill a little bit in the car maybe. So bring an extra amount in the tiny Tupperware and mark it with the class number from your schedule for this entry. So this particular entry is class 40, so I put 40 on this one so that when you get to the show you know that this worm castings is for class 40, and maybe I have some other, I chose pink sand, or not pink sand, I chose gravel for class 42, so I don't have to think about it and get, it's just a little bit hectic in the morning when you're trying to get all this entered, so it's just nice to have it written out for you. So now she's all dressed. She's all dressed. So you want to turn her around, and the grooming people will help you with this also. And they are very helpful along the way too. They will help you with, oh, you know what, maybe that leaf could be cut, or anyway, they help you all along the way. And anytime anyone tells you or suggests something, they are your friend. It is not, they're not being mean. So then the other step is to look at her and see what is her best side. So I think this is her best side. So I get chalk, and you will get chalk too. There's chalk at the show, and you put an X on the bad side. So this, when it comes to the show, the bad side does not show. So your entry will be judged from the good side. But once again, you can decide for yourself and do it at home if you have chalk at home, or you can do it at the show, and people will help you if you can't figure out your good side. So the next step in the entry process is Plant Expert Plant ID. So there is a table. If you are not 100% certain of what your plant is and what the botanical name and what your plant is, you stop by this table, and they'll have all these big reference books like this and some very knowledgeable people there to help you. You really should already know what you're bringing, and you should have done this at home because we have the internet. So if you're not 100% sure, stop by this table, but really do that at home. All right, so now I'm ready to get passed. So I take my plant and my completed entry card to the passing table, and this is where judges are all lined up, and they will pass my entry. Some shows have it where you just go to the first available passer, and some are divided by your classes, but usually you just go to the first available passer. So these ladies are so knowledgeable and have been doing this forever, but they have a copy of the schedule, and they look at your entry card and they say, oh, you've entered class 44. I see this. Let's look and make sure that is in class 44. And they say, yes, it is. And they look at your botanical name and your common name, and they look and make sure that you filled out everything. Lots of time people forget maybe to fill out the length of ownership or something like that, but they look at it and say, yep, that's all good. And then they put their initials or P or whatever the show wants them to do in the little pass box, and then you're done. So you take your card, your plant, and then you go to the next station. So you've been passed, and now you go to the entry book table. This is your last stop. Your completed card and your plant, you go to the entry book station, and this will be divided by classes. So it's 1 through 20, 21 through 30, however they've got it. So you find where you go, present your card, and present your plant. Sometimes they'll just have you leave it and they say thank you, and you're like, oh wait, I don't want to leave. I feel so weird. I've spent so much time with my baby, but it's okay. It's okay to leave. And other ones they'll have you wait until you are actually entered into the book. So if they dismiss you, seriously, leave. But you will get an entry number on your card, and they'll put an entry number somewhere on your plant. It might be underneath, it might be on the side, it'll be somewhere, and if you're bringing a cut specimen, it'll be somewhere on your bottle and somewhere on your entry card. So once you do that, you are gone, you're done. You do not get to go see where it goes into the show. Literally, you are gone and you're done. So you've done it.